Last year, I declared the Remote 2 to be the best universal remote ever made, and it turns out I was wrong. Because what could possibly be better than 2? Well, 3. That's a bigger number, sure, but can it really outshine its older brother? And why was this even made? As you all probably know by now, Logitech was the top dog in this space, but they left their universal remotes in their RGB MX Master rearview mirror, and then Unfolded Circle came along with the Remote 2. And this didn't just fill the void, they closed it up. And now we have the Remote 3. I'll do some close-up shots right now because I know you want to see it. But why does the Remote 3 even need to exist? And why so soon? And why did they let me play with their prototype? Unfortunately, I don't get to keep this one, I have to send it back. So the Remote 2 had a massive waiting list. I don't know the exact number, but it was really popular. And the list was months, not weeks. Therefore, something had to be done. They shipped thousands of Remote 2s and have been regularly providing software updates and listening to user feedback. So they took that feedback and made some upgrades. They made it easier to manufacture, and hopefully they can make them quicker. So let's see what changed and then what's the same. Compared to the Remote 2, the size is the most obvious. It's thinner, shorter, and the touchscreen has smaller bezels, but there's more. This is of course a production sample and subject to minor changes of course. But the touchscreen is full color, just like the old one was, and I forgot to show that last time. But this form factor does feel really nice. Again, the build quality is incredible, the same as the last one. It's still got that nice metal body, and the button layout has changed, which we'll get into in a minute. But these buttons, they click so good. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's a very nice click. They're also raised and recessed in the right places, so you can use it without looking at it, but I want to look at it all the time. When you get to a certain level of nerdism, you care about how buttons feel, and we have the addition of Android buttons, which is nice. Of course, all of the buttons can be mapped to anything, so you don't have to use them as they are, but those ones will still come in very useful. This touch slider is sweet. I love little hardware things like this. I've got some really good ideas about how that can be really useful. So right now the plan is to use this for things like volume control and swiping through pages, with more stuff to come in the future. But I really want to be able to control the playback bar with that and control the speed of something in Home Assistant, a thermostat, a fan speed. I'll be sliding all over the place. There's also RGB backlights, which are not turned on in this prototype, but I can see those being very useful as well. We've got some fun plans for those. On the back there's this, which is black glossiness, and that is for wireless charging, which was a big feature that a lot of people asked for. And I don't think the camera will pick it up, but you can see charging coils through these little slits, which I think is a really nice touch. It now has 5 GHz Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 5.2, a gyroscope, double the RAM, more onboard storage. I wonder if we can get Doom running on this thing. Make it happen. This does make the interface feel a bit more snappier. The Remote 2 wasn't slow at all. Speaking of the Remote 2, that's not getting left behind. There is a new version of the web configurator, which I'll go through in a minute, and that is also coming to the Remote 2, along with the same updates that you'll get from the Remote 3, apart from some specific hardware features, of course, like the slide bar. It's still local. There's still no cloud, you don't need a subscription, so it's perfect. Everything runs locally on the remote, so when you load up the web configurator, which we'll get to in a minute, on another device, it's not going through the internet at all. You are talking to the remote directly. The call is coming from inside the house. It will still support all of these. Home Assistant is the most important one for me on that list. Well, and infrared, of course. But it means if you have something really obscure or even self-made that isn't natively supported by this remote, if it's in Home Assistant, you can control it here. Then there's also a list of growing community developed integrations that also work with this remote. The API is still open and you can still control the remote or can create your own integrations if you know what you're doing there. I don't, unfortunately, but I can tinker with other people's. Those people are much smarter than I am. There's also a new dock, the Dock 3, and a new infrared extender. Unfortunately, I haven't been allowed to play with those yet, but it does have a better infrared coverage, a microphone and a speaker for your voice, and RS-232 compatibility. Oh, and I've said and a lot, don't worry about it, and power over Ethernet, which is also very nice. So they have done another rock solid job with the hardware and the open sourceness of everything. But what about the software side? Yes, the eternal struggle of buying something that's always improving. If they stop now, for me personally, everything is working and working well. But I know there are some features on the roadmap that people really want. So it'd be wise to see if what you want or what you need is on that list. But the Web Configurator 2.0 is still in beta. It looks amazing, but beta. Okay, let's explore the Software Configurator Tool 2.0 because it's pretty awesome. I'll show you various menus and bits and things in there, and I will have a separate video on me setting up this remote completely from scratch with my brand new TV, brand new system, and we'll see how that process goes. But for now, we'll explore the software side of it. So we are in the Web Configurator Tool 2.0. I'm going to take you through a quick little tour of this. There's nothing set up here because I'm going to have a full video on setting this thing up from scratch with my new setup, but I can certainly take you through some of the menus. As you can see here, this is a beta version. Oh, what did that do? That also told me it's in beta version. Look at that, that's fun, isn't it? Anyway, so from here we can add new devices, whether that be infrared, Bluetooth, we can add docks, we can add devices from our Home Assistant integrations, Apple TV integrations, and all that cool stuff there. Advanced mode allows, I don't know what advanced mode does. Advanced configuration options during setup. Only use it when you know what you're doing. We'll leave that off. I have no idea what I'm doing. Entities is where you'd manage all your entities, which is things. So if you have a Home Assistant, this is where you would see all of your Home Assistant devices and things in there. I do have another configurator up here, which is for the remote too, where I've got everything set up, and I'll take you through that in a second. That'll be a lot more interesting than some blank screens. But here you can adjust the settings of the remote. You can do this directly on the remote, but it's all here as well. So I will take you through a full setup of this when I set it up. Now, if we go over to this tab up here, this is my Remote 2 tab. Now, we'll get to things in here in the entities in a minute. I'll explain what they mean. But these addresses are local to the remote. So they don't go through the internet, they don't go through the cloud. If your internet is down, you can still talk to your remote. Right now I'm in a desktop browser on a computer, but the mobile browser does work. There may be a few little kinks in the mobile version of it, but I'm sure anything they find in there will be fixed pretty soon. So these are all the devices that I have added to my Remote 2. Some of them come from Home Assistant, some of them come from just infrared devices, some of them are Android TV, some of them are Bluetooth. Actually, I think only one of them is Bluetooth, and that's the NVIDIA Shield. So integrations I've got are Android TV and Home Assistant, and these are the activities that I've set up. Macros, so movie lights on or off, return the lights to normal, that's an important one. I don't know what activities off is. I think I set that up in the early days and I can't remember what it is. Okay, it doesn't matter. And then Shield menu, because for some reason the Shield menu button didn't quite work and I had to do some special stuff to get that working. I can't remember what I did. I'll try and work it out. But if we just go back to home for a minute and customize the remote. Now, a lot of this is all in black and white or grayscale. It does have a full color screen where you can pick, well, these are the images that it comes with, or you can upload your own images for backgrounds to activities and things like that. But if you go for the icons, despite it being a full color screen and it looks beautiful, all of the icons are in black and white. You know, a splash of color would have been nice here, but never mind. We got that. You can also upload your own icons. I don't remember doing those. I think they came with it. So you can choose your own icons for certain things if you want to do those. So these are the pages. These will live on the home screen of your remote. So when you're on the remote, you access these different ones by swiping left and right. I mean, I've mainly just set up living room for now and the lights, so I can turn on lights. So what you're seeing here is actually a live view of what is going on the remote. So if also you can't see because I'm not screen sharing the remote, but if I go to my lights and I turn off the living room light, where was I? On lights there, and turn it back on. I'm controlling that on the remote and it's doing a live preview here, which is all very cool. And this is where you can put in some of your custom icons if you wish. Replace the background with kitchen background. I don't want the kitchen background. Let's go for this comfy living room instead. So there we go. Now we've got a nice living room image on the remote. So on these pages, you can have entities or groups of entities and have them all on one page like that. You can also set up macros for the activities. So if we go back to my activities and macros, activities and macros. So these are the activities. So on the remote, if I want to watch the Shield TV, I press the button on the remote to trigger this activity, and it turns all the appropriate things and sets them to the right inputs and the right audio channels, that kind of thing. Same with the PC. I've got Wake on LAN running through Home Assistant. I think that's in the entities. I'll call it Media Wake on LAN, but it controls the Media PC downstairs, which is also the gaming PC. But so that does Wake on LAN via Home Assistant. So that's part of this activity. I've got one for PS5, Nintendo Switch, a helper one, which I can't quite remember which I set up for, and this one, subscribe. You can do that if you like. So in these activities, if we go for a simple one like the Shield TV, what you would do is add in any entities that you want to be part of that activity. So I've got things like the soundbar, I've got things like night mode. These are not things that you want to necessarily trigger when you start the activity, but that you want them to be part of the activity because you want to be able to use them while you're in that activity. This activity is on, so it's giving me a warning not to edit running activities. Fine, I'm just going to mess around a little bit. So if we go over to sequences, I can set the on sequence, which is a list of commands to do when the sequence starts, and the off sequence to turn things off when I want to stop running the activity. Now, in order to add things to these, you've got these plus icons up here. You choose the command that you want from all of your entities that you added before to this activity. You can search, so let's just say HDMI2. I can select that, and then when it goes off, it will switch off the NVIDIA Shield, wait a second, switch off the Android TV, and then go to HDMI2, which is pretty useless. So let's delete that one. But over on the user interface, you can customize all of the layout for that activity. So up here, I've got lights, dim the lights, and then lights back on, and then lights off. This is a little media tile, and that shows me what's currently playing on Emby. And I've got another page where I was just messing about testing things, but you can have as many pages as you want. Yeah, untitled 1, untitled 110, that'll do. And then here you've got the grid, and you can customize the grid however you like in terms of how many squares you want for the icons. That is pretty useless. So you guys just go to like a 3x3 grid, or maybe a 4x3 grid is probably the best default. And then you can customize these. I mean, if you wanted to go even further than that, you could customize it as like a full numpad and various other layouts that you want in there. The icon button lets you choose an action for one of these entities, for any of the entities that you've added to the activity. Let's just go for unmute, and you can choose how many icons that takes up. 3x3 unmute button, and the icon. So we can actually do one of these custom ones. Let's just give it the Home Assistant icon for now. This is terrible, but you just get the idea of what's possible. So you're not limited to one grid per icon. You can mix and match however many sizes of icons that you like. In addition to that, we've got text buttons, which again are exactly what they say. They are just buttons, but with text. So like that. And again, you can, because of that, where that one is, the width is limited. Let's set the height to 2. And now we have 2 buttons. But you see, if you spend a little bit of time with it, you can get the perfect layout however you want it. And if we go over to button mapping, this is where you can change all of the buttons. Now this is the Remote 2, because I'll be taking you through the setup of the Remote 3 in a separate video. And you can customize any of these buttons to do whatever you like. So let's say if I wanted this channel up button to be HDMI 2 for the soundbar. Done. There it is. And that button now does that. So you've got two icons here. One is for a short press and one is for a long press. So let's say I wanted HDMI 1 to be the long press. Yeah, that's fine. There we go. And it's just as easy as that to customize any of these buttons that you see here. And of course, you've got the entire touchscreen to add things that don't fit here. You've also got an expand button down here, which will expand all of your button configurations and show you what they are mapped to. But I found this super intuitive and easy to use. I mean, once you spend 5-10 minutes playing around with some buttons and figuring out what things do, then it's pretty easy and straightforward to follow. So, but we'll be going through that, and I will show you the entire process in a longer video. So, lucky you. But if you wrap it all up and put it in this new, beautiful, shiny package, is it an upgrade? Well, yes, but also no. If you're still using an old Logitech, the Remote 3 is your upgrade path or your replacement path. If you have a Remote 2, this is an evolution, not a revolution. Basically, the Remote 3 is what happens when a company actually listens to feedback, which is refreshing and weird. The Remote 3 from Unfolded Circle is the new king. With everything they're doing, we can kind of breathe a sigh of relief and not worry about hanging on to our old Logitech devices anymore. The Remote 3 delivers on what people ask for, but if you have a Remote 2, that is still shining. And when I said this should be the last universal remote that you will ever need. I meant it, and it is still true. There's no need to rush out and replace it. It's not going anywhere. Unless you want to, of course. I'm not your boss. And I will, because tech YouTuber, and I need to talk about these things. They're important, to me anyway. But the Remote 3 is the best you can get right now. It's been a pretty big year of uncertainty, especially in Europe where these things are made. So the price for the Remote 3 and dock bundle is €449. The standalone remote is €339 and the dock 3 on its own is €129. It retains all of the features from the 2 and builds on them. If you haven't seen my video on the Remote 2, I would highly recommend checking that out. There's a few more details in there that I didn't just want to repeat on here verbatim on this video. So, is this your remote now? Questions, comments, rants, Logitech conspiracy theories, I want to hear them all below. And until next time, keep playing and be excellent to each other. No, they're not getting it back. It's mine now.